Alright, welcome back to the next installment. I wanted to start off by tearing the old transfer case apart just to see what might be wrong with it. I'm sorry I have the door open because it's nice out. I'm not mic'd up, so you're going to hear a bunch of loud motorcycles and people with mud tires on the street. So this is where I just went at it with the Sawzall and a hammer to get more clearance to get this out of the car. I don't know how I'm going to get the new one in, but that's a problem for tomorrow. And if you've been with me since episode, I think it was 2 of this several years ago, you remember the bottom right here was all corroded and there was a big hole in the case. And I just covered it in JB Weld so that it would hold fluid until I could get it replaced. So there's that area. I gotta flip it over, take off the clip, and then we'll finally see what the inside of a transfer case looks like on a car that was driving around with no oil for a while. Somewhere under here is that plug. Oh, found it. First try. Well, so far it's not near as bad as I expected. There we go. That is thick with metal shavings. Yuck. So something was wearing. Well, the carnage was not as bad as I thought. I mean, if you look in here, you can see a lot of grit, a lot of grime. And I suppose if there's a big hole in the case, not only is all the fluid going to leak out, but everything else is going to come in. And you saw the magnet, it was quite fuzzy. As far as wear, I didn't see hardly anything. I mean, again, like these sliders on here, they're completely intact. I mean, there's a little wear on them, but I mean, I'd watched videos of people taking these apart where these were completely gone and this was just dragging on the gear, just completely worn out. But nothing's really too bad. I mean, I don't really understand what happened with the case. Like in this area here, you can see this goober. That's my JB Weld coming through, because that was the area that had completely disintegrated. Again, I don't know how it happened. I guess I don't really care. This one's out, and the new one's gonna go in tomorrow. Maybe, we'll see. I just started pulling on this JB Weld, and it looks like it might come off. It did its job though, because when I drained the fluid came out. It served its purpose. So I was just about to go in for the night, and I took the adapter off because I was just going to use the adapter that came with the new transfer case because it's clean, basically. And then I realized they're actually different. You see the holes are exactly the same spacing, but on this one, they're just pushed to the middle of these bosses, and here they're rotated that way. And then I notice here is a little blank area, and here it says ZR2. So I'm gonna have to do some research if I want to know more. I don't know that I really care at this point, but from what I can tell, it's the same transmission, the same transfer case, but for whatever reason with the ZR2, they wanted to just clock the whole transfer case up one step. Now I'm going to clean up the ZR2 one and make sure I reuse that, because I have enough trouble getting everything to fit now. I don't want to start throwing in the wrong part, but interesting, good to know, might come in useful if anybody else is ever doing this. All right, so I think today's the day. It's a Friday, I'm off work. I haven't promised anybody that I'm gonna go help them do anything today. That doesn't mean there isn't things I should be doing, but I want to get this Blazer back together. So I've got everything that needs to be painted, and most of it's dry. A couple things are still drying. Transfer case is sitting here on a wheel dolly, ready to roll out. I got the transmission adapter cleaned up since I have to use the one that was on this vehicle, not the new one, because it had a ZR2 on it. And I did a little bit of looking. I didn't look very hard, but just a little bit of Googling to see if I could find somebody else confirming that's what's going on. I didn't find anything, but that's got to be it. It's got to just have to do with the positioning of the transfer case. So I think I'm ready. I think today's the day. So I don't know how I'm going to lift this thing up and put it in there. I don't have a transmission jack, but I'm going to give it a shot. So off to the tripod. Well, it's been 2 hours and I'm back where I started. I had it just about in place and it fell down. So, not only did I have to somehow get it back out of there and start over, but I also scratched the hell out of it. So I guess I need to regroup. It's basically been 2 hours of me almost getting it in place and then falling back on the ground. It's really hard because I can't just hold it flat and lift it up, because that would be easy. I could just strap it to the jack. Problem is it has to go up nose first, go over that support on the frame, and then bring the back end up. And I just don't have a good way to position it like that. And every time I bring a jack under there, it maxes out before I'm up all the way. So then I have to prop it up and reset the jack somewhere else. And it wasn't fun, but I'm gonna regroup, think about it a bit, and get back out to it. It's only 2. I've still got plenty of time in the day. This is the way to do it. Ratchet strap between the torsion bars just holds this thing up. I can still move it around, but it's not going to fall. It's completely captured unless the strap breaks, but that's the way to do it. So I'm going to get the Porta Power out just like I used last time and stick it up in there and try to spread those apart and get that spline lined up. And if that slides on, then I'm on the downhill slope. I still have some hard wires to plug in and some hard bolts to get in, and I'm not completely out of the woods, but that is a big step. Well, I got it. It took just under a half hour that time. So I ended up having 2 ratchet straps. One of them was putting more pressure on this end that flops around, and one end was putting more pressure right up by the actual mount. So by varying the angle with those and with the jack on the transmission pan, I was able to line it up, and it's now in its home. So I'll probably cut away for a little bit. I just got to put in a bunch of bolts and hook up some wires. Yeah, I think we're on the downhill slope. Well, I did most of this off camera because it wasn't much fun just watching me shove my hands up there trying to get bolts in. But it is back in. Still have to hook up the rear drive shaft and the transmission mount. I'm going to show you a little tip for these bolts. See way up there, these ones and these ones. I've got a little tip for that. If you don't have a cordless ratchet, something that works to get at bolts like that. This is an ancient Stanley ratchet, but I've seen they have these at Harbor Freight similar to this from the Pittsburgh brand for I think 20 bucks for 3/8 maybe. They also have it in 1/2 inch, but you can clock the head in this one in a few different positions. The one at Harbor Freight's a little different. You can lock it in all kinds of positions. This will allow you to get up around that and turn the handle. Otherwise, there's no way. Another nice feature with this is if you leave it loose, you can turn the bolt by doing that. So if you have no room to go side to side, you can just slide it in like that. I've got this years ago at Kmart. Remember those? And it is a Stanley, and that is the part number. I recently looked on eBay, and there's actually some of these on eBay, people selling them. I don't know that the ratchet head is that great. I feel like mine's kind of worn out and sometimes skips, but man, this thing's saved my ass a few times. All right, everyone, and see if I can get you up to speed on where things stand as of now. It is Sunday. I have 3-day weekend, so I worked Friday and Saturday on this and then just slept in. I didn't film a whole lot yesterday. I'll throw in little clips of what I did get filmed yesterday, but mostly I just want to get you up to speed and where we sit today with this thing. So I got the drive shaft in. I mentioned yesterday which U-joints you actually need for a ZR2. If you order U-joints based on what the parts catalog says you need, you will be wrong. This is what you need for a ZR2. Everything I found said this one goes in both locations in the back. This does not fit at the transfer case. You need a 235 to fit the transfer case. And this is all greasable, heavy duty. So, I mean, you can get whatever you want, but if you want greasable heavy duty, these are the numbers. I don't know why every place tells you the wrong U-joint for the front on the ZR2. There's actually 3 different ones for the 3 locations. So that's in, all that's good. Transfer case is in, it's filled with fluid, it's not leaking, which is pretty cool. Problem is, first time I got in it, started it up, the service 4-wheel drive system light was still on. The 2 high light was lit on the dash. If I would push the 4 low button, I could hear the relays in the passenger kick panel clicking, and the light would blink a few times, and then it would just, I think it would shut off. Like there would be no lights then on the button panel. If I got in it and started it and it was in 2 high, if I would pick 4 high or auto, it would blink a few times and then just go back to 2 high. So I know that's not right. I know something needs to be sorted here, but I have a few issues. The first being, when I tore the car apart, it was broken in 2 high. When I put in this transfer case, the transfer case I think was in 4 low. I'm not sure. Bottom line, the transfer case is in a different setting than the car thinks it's in. I don't know how to reconcile that. Like, I'm not sure how complicated this computer's thinking. Is it thinking like, oh, this is in the wrong gear, so shut down? Or is it just dumb enough that it just looks at it and is like, what gear are you in? Oh, okay. And then turns on the appropriate light. I don't know how sophisticated it is. The other problem is I don't know how this dumb thing works when it works. I've never had any 4-wheel drive car, much less one of these. This has never worked. So like when you push a button, I assume there's like some noises and some blinking and something happens, but I don't know what it's supposed to look like. I was Googling, and of course everybody has problems with this system because it's dumb. I mean, like to engage the front axle, you push the button and it sends an electrical signal to a vacuum switch, which opens vacuum to a vacuum diaphragm, which pulls a cable, which engages a mechanical gear, all to get around just having a lever, I guess. So everybody has problems with these. The best advice I could come up with was to try unhooking the battery for a while, and maybe that would reset things. So I've left it unhooked overnight. I just hooked it back up. The other thing you can try to determine if the front axle is actually locking into place, you can lift the right side front wheel, see if it turns. When you put it into 4-wheel drive, it should stop turning. I'm gonna try that. I don't honestly know if the front axle is engaging or not. I don't know if the computer knows or cares. Again, I don't know how the system's supposed to work. And all you see when you look it up is just a bunch of people speculating. Bottom line, right now, this thing runs and drives as well as it did before I replaced the transfer case, the U-joints, the vacuum diaphragm, all the vacuum lines, the switch on the dash, the fuse, and checked the module. So basically the entire system is new and it still doesn't work. So I'm gonna try to figure that out today. Regardless, this video is going up today. Let's see what I can find. Well, I've eliminated one issue. So I already replaced this. So right now the wheel spins. If I go in here and push this, the wheel locks up. I let it go and we're free again. So now I'm gonna try to start this somehow, probably with jumper cables. I have this switch bypassed and I just have the 2 vacuum hoses hooked together. I'm gonna see if it creates enough vacuum to pull that thing out. Well, I found my first problem. So yeah, that was just put on there not that long ago, but I'm gonna fix it now. Quickly running through what I did, you saw that vacuum line that was completely broken. I don't know what's up with that. I just put that on 2 years ago, so it must have been a bad piece of vacuum line I had connecting them. This time I used a piece of fuel line. For some reason the outlet on that diaphragm is way bigger than the vacuum line that goes into this switch on the firewall, so you kind of have to do some kind of adapting there. So after I got that figured out, I found that if I hooked the vacuum directly together, it did engage and it did lock the wheel. Then I was having trouble getting this to work properly. So I tried giving voltage to it and it didn't seem to be actuating. I checked the voltage at the wiring harness, and when I hit the 4 low or 4 high buttons, it gets 12 volts. When it goes back to 2, it shuts off. So the wiring harness is good, whatever's feeding it is good. So then I tried plugging this in with a length of vacuum line going into my mouth, just sucking on it, and it was stopped. Turned it on, nothing happened. So I'm gonna get one of these. This is like the one piece I haven't replaced in this system yet, or at least gone through. So I'm gonna order one of these, and I guess we're gonna get back to this next week, but that's gonna do it for this video. Oh my God, it was a long weekend. I can't wait to have this thing figured out. I'm never doing this again. This whole system is so stupid. But yeah, I guess that's it for today. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you maybe in the next video. I'll drive off into the sunset in 4 low. See ya.